I've been waiting for this car, and it doesn't let you get away with much. The 86 in 0.5 feels composed at the limit right up until you rush it. The rear doesn't step out randomly, it reacts to exactly what you give it. But there's a moment right before it rotates where you decide whether the lap stays clean or falls apart. Let's see how far you can lean on it around the Nords, since it's literally the closest thing to a toge. This car doesn't have power to hide anything. There's no turbo surge and no arrow saving you if you get it wrong. That's why it's interesting in an update like this. If the physics shift even slightly, a car like this exposes it. If you jab the throttle like you would in an anime, it rotates instantly. But if you squeeze it properly, it holds grip longer than you'd think and has grip for days. The OG 86 has always been about balance more than power. When you're smooth, you'll look like a hero and make it look easy. But if you rush it, the mistakes become a bit more obvious. This isn't some drift hero build with crazy angle, it's pretty much bone stock. I'm on road tires using the 4AG 16 valve under the hood, not the 20 valve blacktop that revs to the moon. I'm also running the 3.5 cross gear, so I'm doing that goofy 3rd to 5th to 4th thing when shifting. That 5th isn't actually an overdrive, it's basically a gear sitting between 3rd and 4th, so you don't fall out of power. People actually ran those setups like that in real life, so it's pretty dope seeing that detail show up here. Running it in left-hand drive kinda throws me off a bit. Feels like I'm in an alternate universe version of Initial D. They did build left-hand drive ones in real life, so technically I'm not committing a crime here. But having the option to switch between left-hand drive and right-hand drive would make this feel a lot more authentic. On entry, trail braking feels clean and the rear doesn't unload abruptly, so instead of reacting late to the weight transfer, you can actually feel what's happening as it builds. If the rear goes light, there's a moment where you sense it coming rather than just catching it after the fact. Through longer corners, if you start chasing the rear with steering, it gets messy pretty quickly, because the car really wants to rotate on its own, and if your hands get too busy, you end up fighting it instead of guiding it. Alright, let's send it. See that? Just a little too much throttle and it rotates right away. But it builds into that rotation instead of snapping there. It's not easier, you just get more warning before it goes. Through these tighter sections, you really notice how much brake release matters, because if you come off the pedal too quickly, the rear goes light and you end up correcting mid-corner, whereas if you ease off a little bit more gradually, the car settles and rotates on its own. Into the fast sweepers, it's less about rotation and more about commitment. If you set the steering and trust it, it tracks cleanly. But the second you start adjusting halfway through the corner, you can feel it getting unsettled and you're suddenly working harder than you need to. Over the crests, you feel how light the chassis gets, and if you're still feeling throttle as it unloads, it rotates, but if you wait just a fraction of a second for it to settle, it grips again and carries speed. As the lap goes on, that's where it gets interesting, because small mistakes start stacking up. One rushed input turns into another, and before you know it, you're correcting everything. So is the 86 good at the limit in 0.5? Yeah, I think it is. It'll expose you if you get lazy with it, but when you actually drive it clean, it holds together in a way that makes sense, and when it rotates or sticks, you understand why it did. That's what makes it satisfying to drive around here. Now, we just need a toge map. Oh, and a left-hand drive. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.